Now that I've given you an overview of what organizational behavior is all about, now let's look at the class assignments that you will complete this semester. So the first and the smallest part of the class are the quizzes. There are 4 quizzes, 25 questions each, and all the questions are multiple choice. I tried to provide plenty of time for you to complete the questions, and they're pretty much straight definitions from the book. This part is just meant to provide an overview of the key definitions related to OB, because I realize that some of you are not management majors or even business majors. So while this isn't a graduate level, graduate level class, I want to make sure that you have the key definitions necessary to work and understand organizational behavior. But we have to move beyond that fairly quickly and get into that systematic study that I talked about in the previous slide deck. So because of that, we need to look at the next level, which is the topics assignments. One other thing to keep in mind for the quizzes, actually already this semester, some of you have already completed all 4 of the quizzes. I think they're fairly easy, and most students tend to score no less than a B on them. And many students just do them all at one time. So as long as you have them completed by the due date on the syllabus, that's all I care about. So now let's look at the topic assignments. This is the major portion of the class. And this semester I chose to focus your efforts and your attention on diversity, work-family balance, or sometimes it's called work-life balance, or work-family enrichment, or work-family conflict, and then workplace spirituality. So for the remainder of this presentation, what I'd like to do is give you a brief overview of these 3 topics, and then give you a few tips to get you going on your topic assignments. So the first topic that you will review will be diversity. And as we all know, diversity can mean many different things, especially within the workforce. We have gender diversity, age diversity, race, religion diversity, and then we have all types of sexual orientation and the LGBT phenomenon and issues that are going on right now as well within the workplace, and how do we account for all of that. And then there's also disability that can be considered in this as well. So diversity's got a lot of different meanings, and I just wanted to give us an overview of the different types of things and issues that are going along with diversity in the workplace today. The second topic is work-life balance or work-life conflict, work-family balance or work-family conflict. Although it has many different names, what we really mean here are we want to look at when the demands from the work and family are negatively affecting one another. In other words, what pressures are going on at work that may influence your balance on the other side in your life. Similarly, what could be going on in your personal life that may cause you to be less productive at work. So with the way that companies are asking us to do a lot more work with fewer employees, they have 24-hour access to us through cell phones and email, and being able to log in and do our work from home. Just thought it'd be good for us to review some topics that are going around in that issue today as well. There are plenty of articles out there that discuss work-family balance, and so as I said, I just wanted to give us an overview of that. A lot of people even talk about how balance really isn't the point. We don't necessarily look for family and life and work and life to be in balance. We're really looking for what balance means to us. Some people feel more in balance when they can commit more time to their work than their family, which is perfectly fine as long as that helps lower their stress and keeps them happy. And so whatever balance means to you really is what we want to look at in these studies. The final topic that we're going to review this semester in detail is workplace spirituality. An academic definition of this is the recognition that employees have an inner life that nourishes and is nourished by meaningful work that takes place in the context of community. So the key to this definition is understand that by workplace spirituality, first of all, we do not mean religion. So we're not talking about a specific religion. Also, what we're really talking about here is finding meaning in your work. So when you go to work, do you feel like the work that you are doing has a purpose, has a meaning for not only you but for others as a human being? And it could be accounting work, it could be financial work, it could be marketing, it could be engineering, whatever it is that you do you believe that you have meaning in the work that you do day in and day out? And what the research tends to tell us is that when you find that you enjoy your work so much and you believe that what you're doing has a purpose, then you can actually be more successful on the job and have more productivity. So that's why I thought we would look at finding meaning within our work this semester. Okay, so now that we've got that in place, what I'd like to do now is just quickly give you an idea of why I chose these three topics, and actually not why I chose them, but in studying these three topics, what you'll find is that we're really going to be studying a lot of different topics within the OB literature. So what do I mean by that? Well, here's a model from one of the papers that's out there. I don't think it's one of the papers you'll read this semester, but it's just being used as an example. So this particular paper talks about how servant leaders ultimately impact citizenship behaviors. And so leaders that tend to care for their employees tend to raise their level of citizenship behaviors. So people within the job that have leaders that tend to care for them also tend to do more behaviors that go above and beyond their job description. And in studying this article, let's say you were really studying citizenship behaviors. In studying this article, you would also learn about servant leadership, procedural justice climate, service climate, self-efficacy, and commitment, simply because what this paper presents is in order for citizenship behaviors to be increased, it must go through this entire process. So we don't want to just study citizenship behaviors in a vacuum and think that they are its own phenomenon. Actually, what we want to do in these topic assignments is get a greater understanding of how some of these topics interrelate and cause citizenship behaviors, or the dependent variable or the productivity variable that we're interested in, to increase or decrease. Again, referring to this model, servant leaders tend to work within procedural justice climate. In other words, there's a sense of fairness within the organization. Also, there's a sense of service climate, which is the idea that we should be caring for and helping other people throughout the organization. So there's a sense of fairness. So servant leaders create this sense of fairness and this idea that we need to serve and help others within the organization. Servant leaders also tend to raise our self-efficacy. In other words, they help us believe that we can accomplish the job at hand, the task that is set before us, and they help us, and they increase our commitment to them. So when you have a leader that is fair, that promotes service to others, that helps us and raises our self-esteem and our self-efficacy about being able to complete an assignment, this also raises our commitment to that particular leader. And in consequence, these things also help us to create more citizenship behaviors within the organization. So again, even though the topic may be citizenship behaviors, we end up studying all of these other different OB topics in relation to this. And that's the point of studying these particular journal articles. So a few topics, a few tips on completing these topic assignments. First, as you're reading the articles, they tend to have a natural flow to them. There'll be some type of introduction section Then there'll normally be a section where they explain the key topics and their relations to each other. And then they'll probably have some type of methods and or results section, followed by a discussion and then some type of conclusion section. So whenever you get to that methods and results section, you can ignore reading. You do not have to read that part, and nor do you have to include any information on that in your papers. Instead, focus your attention on the front half, which is the review of the key constructs and their relationships. Sometimes they call that the theory within the paper. And then also focus your attention on the back half, which is a back portion of the paper, which will be the discussion and the conclusion, where they take their data that they found and put it in terms for you as an MBA or as a master's student. So again, you do not need to, and please do not, write on the methods and results sections. Instead, focus your efforts on the key constructs and the relationships to each other, sometimes called the theory within the paper. Also, you'll see hypotheses within the paper. Don't write on these as well. Instead of just listing the hypotheses, go out and explain in the paper how the authors developed these particular hypotheses. So in the paper that we just talked about a second ago with this model, there's probably some type of hypothesis that says servant leaders increase citizenship behaviors within their employees. Instead of writing that out, explain to me the theory behind why the authors believe that servant leaders lead to higher citizenship behaviors within their employees. People always ask, Professor Williams, what is the page length? Is there a minimum or maximum that you're looking for? And actually, there is not one. At the MBA level, I tell you to be very thorough, and what you want to do is make sure that I am convinced that you have read and you understand the material that is presented within the journal articles. If you want some type of guide as to what an A paper would look like, I've given you an example in doc sharing. Please keep in mind that this example is not of a full paper of 3 articles as you are required to review for each paper. It's just of 1 article. And so it gives you an idea of what an article review looks like. You are required to do 3 of these for each paper. So you can use this as a guide to what an A article review looks like. Finally, there are more specific instructions in eCollege in the doc sharing section, so be sure to go there for more information. And if you have any questions, you can always email me, and we can even set up a phone conversation to make sure that you are on the right track.